All right. Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Easily number one most bashed podcast. Balita ko kahapon sa kabilang channel, may mga nagwa-blind item yata sa atin. Tapos may nag-clarify. Hindi naman ikaw yung ibang tinitamaan doon sa mga masikip daw na shirt, mga ganun. In fairness, idol ko naman yung guest natin today. Puro kami mga slim mode ngayon. At speaking of blind item, of course, obviously yung mga pasaway namin conversation, double R, W, mga ganun. Marami rin kami mga blind items sa mga kaibigan natin na mga progressives. So today I said we have to make sure we have, again, one of our other good progressive friends with us, aside from Congresswoman Franz Castro, a regular guest here. Welcome back to our little show, former Congressman Teddy Casino. Thank you so much, Teddy, for joining us.
Of course, anytime, Richard. Thank you at magandang gabi sa lahat.
Magandang gabi. Of course, Teddy, you and I have been going back and forth on Twitter back in the day, but those were the days. Now let's get serious kasi elections na. Of course, shortly I want to talk about yung ano yung mga plano mo sa election na yan, ano yung mga diskarte na ginagawa mo, meron ba kayong mga tactical changes, messaging. Nakita ko may mga bomber jacket picture ka rin kaya ginaya rin kita, yung mga, diba? Yung mga Gen Z moves, diba? Pag-usapan natin lahat yan. But before that, obviously, we have to clear the air on a couple of.
Ikaw nga ginagaya ko eh. Sabi ko kung kaya na rin.
I know you're gonna say that. I know you're gonna say. Flamboyant, flamboyant, as Sensei Walden would say, flamboyant. No, but on a serious note, obviously, despite all of the kind of pluralism of, I mean, obviously, marami tayong mga points of view hindi necessarily tumutugma. But I think that's part of the pluralism of including progressives in the country. I know you asked me the other night, Richard, progressive ka pala. Parang sabi, bakit ikaw progressive? We don't want to go down that road, but later we'll go down that road. No, but obviously, nung last month, nagkaroon ng tatlong rally, di ba? So, napuntahan ko yung dalawa. Unfortunately, hindi ko naubutan yung sa Liwasan Bonifacio, yung sa inyo. But I was able to get yung mga updates via accounts ni Ma'am Franz Castro, among others. And you saw also, I posted about it. And I said, parang interestingly, ang laki nung overlap nung morning Akbayan and Magdalawan, and then yung sa inyo, in terms of at least making the issue of Sara impeachment very central. And one thing I noticed, Teddy, was dun sa isa, parang medyo all over the place, which we have nothing against. This is a democracy. We're pluralistic among others. Okay lang naman yan. But for me, medyo nagiging nakakabahala na siya because parang na-notice ko, and this is not targeted at any specific candidates. Speaking of blind item, I'm not just saying Bam Aquino. What I was disappointed was how people were trying to defend um, hindi naman defend kasi I think Bam Aquino's statement had a broader context. Pero yung mga tao, they were trying to say, hindi, okay lang na, not to have a clear stance on the issue of Sara impeachment. Kasi baka may mga DDS na pwede bumoto sa'yo. Sayang naman, ganun. Yun yung hindi ko na-appreciate, Teddy. So, I want to be fair. We'll have Bam Aquino later on to explain his side. So, I don't want to be unfair to him. What I felt was dispiriting was yung ganyan logic na, para sa man lahat korap, BBM, team kadiliman, team kasamaan, okay lang na mag-strategic ambiguity ka. And I think one area all of us can agree with is, ano bang ambiguity yung kailangan natin on this Sarah impeachment issue? How many hearings do we need? So, former Congressman Terry, can you tell me a little bit about where you guys are coming from on the Sarah impeachment issue?
Well, we're coming from the fact that we are complainants of the second impeachment complaint. Uh, so we really feel, particularly on the issue of the confidential and intelligence funds, na talagang it's a cut and dried case. I mean, you can't get any clearer than that. During the hearings of the Committee on Good Government in Congress, obvious naman na talagang una, they used it for the wrong purpose because there are very strict parameters for the use of confidential funds. At ginamit na ito sa mga gamot, sa mga groceries, sa mga transportation expenses na walang kinalaman, even office rentals, walang kinalaman sa intelligence or security functions if there is any of the DepEd and the Office of the Vice President. And secondly, not only that, hindi lang mali yung paraan ng ginawa, mali rin yung reporting. Kasi, yun na nga, lumabas itong mga piatos, and then it was her security officers who were, deciding on matters na hindi naman dapat. And last, tinago niya, pinagtakpan niya. And when Congress was investigating whether it is the Committee on the Appropriations or the Good Government or whatever committee Congress did, ayaw niyang sumipot at ayaw nilang ipaliwanag. So on that issue alone of the confidential intelligence funds, I really feel that uh, she has to be impeached, and sa linaw ng ebidensya, Senate has nowhere to go but to convict. But of course, there will still be a trial, and in the trial, I don't know, baka may mga lumabas naman mga bagay na hindi natin alam, but sa nalalaman natin, as far as the records is concerned, as far as the evidences were unearthed during the congressional deliberations, it's a cut and dried case. Ngayon, yung ibang issues, marami pa eh. I think there were 7 articles of impeachment. Uh, may kanya-kanyang proponents din yan, pero I think malinaw naman that she made death threats against the president, the first lady, and the speaker of the house. So, kitang-kita naman yun sa kanyang ginawang video. With respect to the non-disclosure of the SALENS, I think that's also records lang naman pag-uusapan dyan, and and previous statements and actions of the Vice President. So para sa akin, malinaw. So, you know, and I think it's a disservice to say na issue lang ng politiko ito, and that hindi issue ng ating mamamayan, because marami sa ating mamamayan ang naghihintay ng ano magiging aksyon ng Senado dito.
Um, Congressman Teddy, I want to go back to this because again, I'm trying to be fair here, in a sense that paano yung argument na pag kayo ang nanalo, you're running for Senate, we'll discuss it later on, Bam is running for Senate, you're going to be senator judges. So, isn't it parang judicious for you, right, to not take a very clear-cut stance on something that you'll have to still assess at a different level. Of course, there'll be prosecution team from the Congress, there'll be a defense team from the other side. I don't know kung si Digong, Panelo, or babalik ba si Harry Roque. He might be back in time, right? How do you work around that? While at the same time, you have senators, incumbent senators like Robin Hood Padilla and Amy Marcos, a re-election is one. Another one is going to stick around until 2020, who are saying they're going to fight this essentially tooth and nail. So, do you think we should
Um,
still have a pretension to procedural impartiality at this point in time? So again, I gusto ko lang patulan yung argument na yan because it's an argument that is being raised by some friends, and I think some friends have good intentions, but I think we have to interrogate and scrutinize that argument, right? Oops, Congressman, I think
when they sit as judges, pwede nilang sabihin, hihintayin nila. But I think at this point, particularly yung mga issues na lumabas na, um, it's important for them to already disclose what they think really happened, at kung merong pananagutan si Vice President Duterte at this point. Of course, without saying that the trial will can possibly uh, influence their decision. Pero at this point kasi, ilang buwan nang pinag-usapan nito, obligado na meron ka ng posisyon or at least an initial conclusion.
Well, obviously, you as being a progressive fighting dun sa mga concern ng ating mga kababayan, especially in terms of yung mga gut issues, how do you think should we approach this issue to make sure na hindi, I mean, of course, mahalaga yung sa impeachment issue, pero mahalaga din obviously yung issue ng inflation, yung bigas na 20 pesos
Uh,
kada kilo na hindi pa nangyari. Do you think you can harmonize all of these issues na while discussing these high level accountability issues, also discussing gut issues? I mean, I'm already answering the question, right? But I want to get, of course, my sense is how are
well,
you?
konektado naman
Okay.
yan eh. The reason why we have so much problems as far as the economy is concerned, also because of governance and also because of corruption and lack of accountability. So there is that very clear relationship. Ngayon, yung usapin lang ng ang komplikado kasi ngayon the election, no? And I think some of the senators are also trying to get votes from the pro Duterte camp. And that is probably the reason kung bakit ayaw nilang sabihin kung ano yung tingin nila. So it is electoral, ano yan. Probably they think it is wise strategy.
Just so clear,
Uh,
this involves members of the admin slate, right? Like pangalan niya, yung dating Ronald Llamas ni Digong, si Tolentino, right? Like, it's like, wait, admin ka ba? And then, pagdating sa forthwith argument, ang dami niya mga sinasabi na klarong-klaro naman yung ating saligang batas. So, just to be clear, we're not like talking about a single candidate or so. There are even members of the admin slate who are ambiguous on this issue. The president, what do you think about Jesus Escudero? Hindi ko na pagtawanan yung microblading niya. Ang dami na nagalit sa akin. Richard, tama na eh, microblading ka na. Like, what do you think about Jesus Cordero stance? Sorry, ano na, recess na eh. Wala nang time eh. See you, June. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a dereliction of duty on the part of the Senate President?
I think ang problema ni Senator Cheese Escudero ayaw ng mga senador na itackle yung impeachment. It's not just cheese. I think practically all the senators want to act on this after the elections. And as Senate President, uh, kahit gustuhin man niya, kung ayaw ng mga members niya, mahihirapan siya eh. So I think there's that complication. So it's not just Chis Escudero's decision to make.
Well,
And,
after
and
yeah,
knowing how the senators are thinking, especially the re-electionists, baka mas gusto nilang after the elections na talaga ito pag-usapan.
I
Which is
understand.
unfortunate, of
Yeah.
course. Unfortunate, of course. But that is what is happening now in the Senate.
But do you think we should put pressure on Jesus Escudero to at least get the ball rolling? Because one argument is if you
I think he will. I think he will get the ball rolling, but
Mm.
but for the Senate to form themselves into an impeachment court, he will need the majority of the Senate to cooperate.
Yeah.
Eh kung wala, mahihirapan talaga siya as Senate President.
Kasi ang point ko is at least yung basic procedures, rules of the game. Kasi, impeachments are not your normal trial courts, di ba? So, pag kailangan pag-usapan yan. So, if you start, sabi pa nga ng iba, after SONA pa, di ba? Another 6 months. And
Sobrang tagal.
tagal na yan, di ba? And by that time, of course, you have bought enough time for a certain camp, right? For them to, who knows, baka iba na yung narratives, hindi na Piatos Grace, baka Oishi na, di ba? So, which brings me to speaking of, bakit purong Piatos at Mary Grace pinag-usapan natin? What about this argument? And again, some of our friends are raising this. And when I say friends, not necessarily left or center, it could be liberals, right? Essentially, ang argument nila, I mean, not only argument, naalala ko dun sa EDSA Shrine, naglagay sila ng malaking tarpaulin temporarily, tinanggal yata eh. Ang laki nung picture hindi ako nagbabody shame ang laki nung picture ni Martin Romualdez sa gitna. And then like Sarah was just on the side and one of the speakers, one of our good friends, yung essentially yung is clarion call niya is kasalanan mo to Marcos, ganun. So what do you think about this argument na, I mean, openly Sarah said, di ba? Something like, a million-million lang naman pinag-usapan dito. Eh, kabila nga, billion eh. Like, what about yung whataboutism argument na yan? And yung idea na, this is the worst budget ever, yung mga ganun argument. Teddy, what do you think about that line of argument? Do you think it's helpful? Do you think it's accurate? Do you think it's something we have to work on? What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know if this is the worst budget ever. It soundbite yan, no? But alam mo, every budget, talaga namang andyan ng pork barrel. That never disappeared, even during the time of Noynoy Aquino, even right after the Million People March. Tinago lang nila yan eh. Nasa DBWH yan.
You
And the
were there,
practice of
but
the bike,
you were serving the Congress back in. Can you tell from your own experience, Teddy? You were serving in the Congress back in the day.
oh yeah, yung
Diba,
bicameral
question ko.
conference
Yeah, can
committee
you
as
can you
well.
remind people, refresh their minds? Kasi maraming kaibigan natin nagsalita as if walang pork barrel, including time nung kanilang mga idolo na presidente. Maybe you wanna
No,
refresh their memory.
the pork barrel was never gone, you know. Of course, yung time ni Pinoy na ipanalo natin sa Supreme Court to declare the PDAF and the DAP as unconstitutional. Pero ang ginawa lang naman nila dyan, tinago nila sa line item ng DPWH. At saka tinago yan sa budgets ng DSWD, ng DOH. So it was always there. In fact, it increased during the time of President Aquino. Eh, ganyan naman eh. Every year, nag-i-increase yan eh. Kasi inflation.
Bakit
But,
yaman naman ng Pilipinas? Ibig sabihin yung mga mayaman natin. I mean, our GDP is getting
yeah.
bigger every year too.
Ngayon, medyo garapal ngayon because itong AKAP, talagang may, garapal talaga. Yung ayuda politics ngayon has become so institutionalized and so accepted. So in that sense, medyo ibang medyo garapal. And I think that totoo din naman yan. Ngayon, does that reduce the accountability of Sara Duterte? Of course not. Does that mean na hindi na natin i-hold to account si Sara Duterte dahil ganon din naman si Martin at ganon din naman si Marcos? No. Every chance that we get that we can hold any of these high officials accountable, we grab it. Nangyayari ngayon, nag-away ang unit team at lumabas yung mga issue kay Sara, yung ebidensya, di habulin natin siya. And then pag lumabas naman yung mga ebidensya laban kay Martin or kay Marcos, then that's the time that we also go after them. But to say na awag na muna itong isa kasi lahat naman sila sangkot, walang mangyayari sa atin yan. The accountability mechanisms will be useless because the argument will always be, lahat naman kami dito nagnanakaw, bakit ako lang? In fact, yan ang ginagamit ni Sara Duterte. Kasi ako, ano lang, 111, 125 million lang naman. Yung iba mas malaki. But, ang tanong dyan, okay, so ipaliwanag mo pa rin yung 125 million mo. And if napatunayan that you really used it in a wrong way, then you should be held accountable.
Eh,
Yung barangay captain nga, 30,000 nakukulong eh.
yeah, I mean, kukuha ka ng 10,000 lang na check for some honorarium. My goodness, ang dami mong paperworks na pupunuin.
True.
Like anyone who has done, any humble work with government, ang dami mga paperworks nakaka-stress me. So like, I have to hire an EA just to do the paperwork and all. You know what I'm saying, right?
In fact, it should not matter whether you are pro Duterte or pro Marcos. The fact is, pera mo yan. Pera natin yung ninakaw eh. Kung ikaw ba ay pro Duterte, sabi mo, hindi ko naman pera yan. Pera ng mga pro Marcos yan. Of course not. It's everyone's money. Kaba ng bayan yan. So whether a Marcos stole it or a Duterte stole it, o keseho dun sino nagnakaw, dapat panagutin yon. And so this is actually one of the issues that both the pro Marcos and pro Duterte should unite because it's our money. It's everyone's money. Kaya lang nahaluan talaga ng politika at yun ang problema dito.
Um, okay, so now I think we're getting into an interesting set of discussions. Una-una, of course, wag natin kalimutan na pagdating sa mga confidential funds ng mga Duterte, bilyones ang pinag-usapan throughout the years, no? So, pag
Oh
longitudinal
yeah,
approach,
From Davao all the way to
exactly.
Malacanang.
Exactly. So maybe you want to refresh memory of everyone na hindi lang Digong's time, Davao's time, Digong's time as mayor. So kung bilyones din ang usapan, we can talk about billions, 'di ba? Nagkataon lang itong 100 million plus
Billions.
na yan. Medyo talagang medyo malakas may preponderance of evidence if I could say, if I could put it that way for us to at least get the impeachment process going. So I think that's one line na hindi na-emphasize masyado. Parating kang sinasabi, if you want to go down that road, o sige, gusto natin pag-usapan bilyones, pag-usapan ng bilyones ng Davao Confidential Fund, Digong's Farmali, Digong's... So, but the other one here, Teddy, I want to ask you is, ang problema kasi dito napansin ko is, of course, okay naman lahat tayo mag-argue or magdedebate. Ang problema kasi is, nakalatag na yung yung troll farms eh. Nakalatag na yung propaganda machine eh. Which
Mm.
is ready to pounce on anything to distract. 'Di ba? Yung pusit, yung sinasabi ng pusit games, 'di ba? Para sa akin kasi yung GA issue na yan, while valid yung scrutiny niyan, talagang ginuse out ng mga Dutertes at ang kanilang
Oh, yeah.
propaganda machine to distract. Kasi, di ba, Teddy, momentum din ang issue dito eh. Why would that certain group have a 1 million piece rally, whatever? We know what was going on there, right? This is about momentum. This is about political will. This is about intimidation, if you can put it that way. So, tinitingnan ko rin yung political context na yan eh. What is your take on that, Teddy?
Well, we will expect the Dutertes to try to do everything na madistract ang taong bayan dun sa issues kay Sara Duterte at saka yung ICC investigations and other investigations kay Rodrigo Duterte. So that's par for the course. Ang problema, ito namang grupo nila Bongbong, I mean, they open themselves up. Eh kung hindi ginawa yan sa AKAP, kung hindi ginawa ng BICAM yan, edi walang pambala yung kabila. And I think this just shows really how rotten both camps are. Kasi talagang may maibabato sila sa isa't isa. And I think ang ang lesson diyan para sa taong bayan, hindi that Duterte is better than Marcos or the Marcoses are better than Duterte. It's that we have to find an alternative to these two most powerful political dynasties. I think that should be the mindset. Hindi yung magkakampihan tayo and yun ang narrative ng Marcos at Duterte. Mas madumi sa amin yon, mas malinis kami sa kanila. And I think it's time for people to realize these are two sides of the same traditional
I
political.
mean, it was a unity team for a reason,
Kaya,
right?
actually, administrasyon naman pareho yan eh. Nagpaksyon lang sila.
Right.
But they're actually, these are both administration parties. Nag-away-away lang sila. So, yun na nga. Maganda sana kung ang alternative ay nagkakaisa din to challenge these two, these two political dynasties. Pero, yun nga eh.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll discuss
Yun
that.
naman yung isang problema ng
Yeah, yeah. Teddy, I want to
opposition in
discuss that.
general.
Yeah, yeah. I want to discuss yung opposition, Pink 2.0, grand opposition. Mahalaga yan because I think that I want that to be a core discussion today because I mean, unang-una, pag tinignan mo yung surveys, no? I mean, the only available survey we have on essentially alignment is the Okta survey. And we'll have Ranjit Rai, Professor Rai with us soon. Of course, anyone is free to attack any survey, but this is the best. It's not a proxy survey, it's a direct survey. Ang tanong, are you with admin? Are you with Duterte? Are you with whatever? So around 38% with BBM, according to survey, only 15% with the DS camp, only 7% with the liberals, basically. Teddy, 40% are up for grabs. That means the biggest chunk, right, of yung mga sub-demographics na yan, ay mga tao na they don't believe in any of the groups, right? And they want to be convinced. They want to be inspired, right? Kaya nga sinasabi ko, kung gusto mong manalo or at least you want to have a good race, inspire mo yung mga 40% na yan para magkaroon ng paki sa politika. Because you never know, you might get a few percentage here and there and become suddenly competitive. So, yun ang gusto kong balikan. Kaya sabi ko, hindi pwede yung mga pa-cute and pa-safe and ganon. That's why 40% have switched off. That's why 40% are not with any side, right? That's why 7% lang with
Mm.
the traditional opposition, alam natin, di ba? So, kaya nga sabi ko, this is a time for conviction politics, for decisive messaging, di ba? Dapat klarong-klaro tayo dyan.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I think yung 40% na yan, they might not be siding with any of the established political camps. Pero alam nila kung ano yung tama. Alam nila na ang opisyal na nagkamali, kailangan managot. Alam nilang may proseso. Alam nilang impeachment is a process of accountability. So the challenge for someone who is challenging these two camps is to clarify that issue and to say accountable si Sara, accountable din si Marcos. Kaya lang sila nagtatakipan or they're just uh, yung sarili nilang, of course, they're protecting themselves. At ito ay awayan lang ng mga political dynasties. But that is the challenge for the alternative or the true opposition.
Um, again, today I spoke about being fair, no? So obviously you have watched. I mean, first of all, I'm very Gramsci on this in a sense that if you have two enemies, you don't fight the two front war at the same time. You choose war of maneuver for one, war of position for the other, right? And I think you can say
Mm-mm.
which one I believe is the war of maneuver. Like you have to go, and then which one is the war of position, right? So I'm very Gramscian in terms of my perspective kasi wala naman tayong problema in terms of convictions and vision eh. Ang issue lang dito tactics, 'di ba? And yung
Mm.
alignments and political realities kasi we're adults here. Hindi tayo mga bata na nang sloganeering lang. I know you get annoyed every time I use that term of sloganeering because I think we really have to have also legitimate tactical discussion. Dapat ganun na yung level of discussion because I think our audience deserve that. Dapat gets nila na we are serious people. Hindi lang tayo nagpapakyut tayo dito or nagmamalinis tayo dito or nagkatibak-tibakan tayo, 'di ba? We're serious people here. So going back to this, Terry, so I have essentially two layers to this third force you're talking about, the alternative force. Kasi we want this
Mm.
40% to go for the good side, plus the 7%, and maybe some of the solid north, if I can put it that way. Kasi ang dami ko nakikita ng mga comments na they say, ano ako, solid north ako, BBM ako, pero okay ako kay XYZ, and including Franz Castro, for instance, right? Like, if feeling nila you're anti-Duterte enough, they're willing to vote for you. And we know that most people don't want to remember the 12 slate of one admin or one opposition. They're
Mm.
just going to go with a couple of candidates they feel more comfortable with. But I still want to talk about the 40% and the more genuine opposition na gusto nila ng good governance among others. Unang-una, again, just to be fair, Teddy. So, probably you listened dun sa discussion namin, two-volume discussion namin ni Walden and Ronald about quote-unquote the failures of the left. And believe me, Teddy, for all my playfulness and sometimes bulliness when I talk, I actually say it from a position of empathy and sympathy because alam ko ang hirap maging progressive sa ating bansa. And I mean, Philippines is a center right country, right? I call it the Reagan
Yeah.
nation. The Asian Reagan nation is a very center right country. If all surveys I've seen, for instance, the Asia Barometer survey, there was a question about should the state engage in social redistribution? Lahat ng ASEAN countries nandito, 70%, 70%. Philippines lang yung, hindi dapat makialam yung estado sa redistribution. Sobrang libertarian, feudalistic. This is a republican nation, basically. That's why Trump had more votes in Philippines in terms of popularity than even Filipino Americans. So first of all, gusto kong balikan yung question. Where is the again quote unquote failure? Because I'm sure you'll challenge that. And history is not done, right? There's still tomorrow. There's still another election. But in terms of shortcomings of left, saan sa tingin mo nagkakulang yung among progressives and leftist groups? It's a wide spectrum in terms of winning and creating. Again, sorry to use the Gramscian term, a counter hegemonic bloc. Sorry for going that down that road again. Ano po yung mga tactical mistakes or strategic misalignments? What are the lessons from the past when you ran for Senate before? And how do you think we should correct that and move forward? And I'm saying this as someone who's sympathetic to ideas of a much more egalitarian, progressive society. But I think dapat maging totoo rin tayo, tapat tayo in terms of ano yung mga naging historical problems or mistakes and what are the things we have to do. Or maybe you want to challenge my entire premise, Teddy. Go ahead. I'm more than free to be challenged. Yeah.
Well, for one thing, we might be, uh, kumbaga, sinisisi natin lahat sa left. I mean, for the most part, ang dominant naman sa atin yung right. I mean, it was there was a 20-year dictatorship under the Marcos dictatorship. Nahulma niya ang isang henerasyon ng mga mamamayan na into what you say is a very conservative right-wing thinking. And ang hirap din basta-basta baliktarin ng left yan. And of course, the left had its mistakes. Ah, on the record naman yung boycott policy ng 1986, yung naging
Purges. I mean,
yung purges, yung naging hysteria,
and then your
ah,
tac and your
confusion
temporary.
sa kanilang
Yeah, and
tactics
your
and
temporary
strategies.
tactical, I mean, you had temporary tactical alliances with the uh, Duterte administration. Some would say the other administration. The Akbayan had also with the liberals. So I'm just trying to
Mhm.
be fair, diba? But at the same time, parang sinasabi ko naman, if you also don't build coalitions, you're not gonna have any say. Talagang, it's an impossible, difficult situation. So I'm not apologizing, but at the same time, I'm trying not to be unfair. Do you see where I'm coming from, Teddy? Kaya sabi ko nga, let's just have this honest conversation. Sa tingin mo, ano yung mga lessons na dapat natutunan natin from our past quote-unquote mistakes in retrospect? Obviously, in retrospect.
Mahirap yung tanong mo ah. It's
Sorry,
going
sorry, Teddy,
to...
pinapamak ba kita? Yeah. Ganito kasi ang problema ko, Teddy, di ba? Ang problema ko is parang lahat tayo may silo-silo eh, di ba? Like I go to this group, may sarili
Yeah.
silang, tingin nila sila lang tamang left. Then you go to this group, hindi totoong left yan, mga ganyan yan. I mean, I'm not gonna throw out the terms, right? And I just feel, well, my goodness, ba't di tayo nagsama-sama? I mean, we were together the other month and we had guests from Latin America, right? Dr. Long, I
Mhm.
had him on my show, so this is on the record. And Dr. Long was talking about how effective the left is in Uruguay, in Chile, in Colombia, mga very similar country to ours. Ex-Spanish colony, feudalistic, very conservative Catholic. So parati ako naisip, dapat ganun, mag-usap-usap tayo. Okay lang magdi-disagree tayo. Alam ng tao, on EDCA, US-China issue, medyo nag-disagree tayo dati. Although ngayon, Trump, ibang usapan na. We can discuss that later on. But at least you have to talk. We have to, I mean, di ba? Kasi lahat naman tayo, ayaw natin ng feudalismo eh. Lahat naman tayo, pagod na pagod tayo sa oligarkiya eh, di ba? Pagod na pagod tayo, maging tuta tayo ng kung anong superpower dyan, di ba? So, that's why I'm having this conversation with you because ako lang makapal ang mukha eh. I'm willing to talk to all sides. You know me, right? So I just wanted to hear from you more in terms of the lessons we have learned. Alam ko mahirap yan. So, sorry, Teddy, I'm putting you on the spot because I want to do this so that I can move forward with the next part of our conversation, which is anong next
Mm.
ngayon sa darating na election na ito,
Well,
2028, yeah.
well, para sa akin, sa ilang discussions that I've had with comrades from the left, ang isang basic yan eh, nakalimutan yung ilang mga basic, um, sabihin na natin basic principles or strategies, like how do you build your mass base, how do you consolidate your mass base, paano na hindi mo nagagasgas yung mamamayan, uh, and then how do you ensure na ipapanalo yung laban, or hindi lang laban ng laban, meron din silang ah, mga tactical gains, and how do you balance yung magagasgas mo sa dapat may yung mix between the economic benefits na nilalaban nila and the requirements of the political struggles. Mga ganon, yung pagbabalanse basically eh. And well, that has always been the challenge. Um, and then of course there's yung usapin ng the legal struggle vis-a-vis the armed revolutionary struggle. What is the proper balance? And how do you ensure na hindi uh, hin- yung hindi ka mawawasak, no? And that uh, yun, I think these are the things that nag, hindi nagagawa ng tama in the past.
Do you think we were unfair, Teddy? Again, this is we're saying this as friends. That do you think na yung mga katulad namin na Johnny come lately, lang sino tong konyo na to na taga Baguio na nagfi-feeling talking about Gramsci? I'm sure people will say that about me, right? But I hope people understand where I'm coming from because I felt someone has to say these things openly and nagkataon lang makapal ang mukha ako. Do you think we've been unfair to left to ourselves in a sense, right? I mean, you and I are not necessarily the same shade of progressive, but do you think sometimes we're also too hard on ourselves? Kasi ang hirap maging progressive sa Pilipinas talaga. Parang, it's easier to be a progressive in US even, I would say. Right? It's even, I mean, my goodness, the heartland of capitalism. It's definitely much easier to be a progressive in Japan, in Europe, in Latin
Yeah.
America, even
Let,
Thailand.
let, let, let me give you a
Yeah,
concrete
please.
example.
Yeah, correct me if you think I'm being
Sa ibang areas ng mga mass-based talaga ng kaliwa, no, na organized. For example, yung mga union air workers communities, for example, in Southern Tagalog, na matagal nang may mga union dyan kumikilos. And I think the left did a lot of good work in building labor unions, etc. Pero pag pumasok ang gobyerno dyan at pinatay na yung mga leaders ng union at tinakot ang mga union and naging contractual yung mga manggagawa, ang hirap sabihin na ang nagkamali diyan yung movement eh. That the labor movement failed because the attacks were from all sides, ano? Yung sa workplace, yung relations nila sa yung type ng employment nila from regular employment, puro naging contractual na lahat. And then you have these attacks from the military and the police, even the local governments. Eh kahit siguro anong galing mong organizer doon, eh pag pinatay ka ba, you know, dadapa at dadapa talaga yung movement. So, eh, in a sense, masasabi mong we might be too hard on ourselves. Nasasabihin natin, kaya
Mm.
bumagsak ang mga union dito dahil hindi na organize ng maayos eh. O sasabihin na, eh
But
kasi
Kenny,
mali
that's
yung
a
message
balance of power
or
argument.
mali yung messaging mali yung strategy and tactics ng organizer dito. But the fact is the fascist attacks were simply too much. Ah, kaya bumigay yung union, halimbawa, o yung community organization. So
I
may ganyang aspeto.
Definitely. The balance of power argument, I agree with you. In terms of if you look at the business sector, parts of civil society, obviously, alam natin yung mga usual suspects, they're very hostile to the left, right? Probably some of them will be pissed off we're even having this conversation at me, but they know me. I'm a Richard is Richard, right? Magulo mag-isip yan. No, but
Another
never,
example, no?
yeah, please, sige, sige.
Pinag-usapan natin yung labor. Kasi nasa labor ako in the mid-1990s nung nagsimula itong contractualization,
And then trade
tuloy-tuloy yung
liberalization, WTO
yes, and then
competition.
nawala nahirapan na yung mga union. Pinag-iisipan ko what are the new forms of organization na kayang gawin ng manggagawa kung puro contractual na sila at nag-outsource na yung mga kumpanya at mga manning agencies na yung napakalaking bahagi ng sistema. Until now, hindi ko pa rin ma-grasp eh. Ano yung pinaka-effective na organizing sa ganong context? Uh, and I think whether you are a traditional labor leader or a progressive or even a revolutionary labor organizer, mahihirapan ka talaga eh. And it will probably take some time before the movement is able to come up with uh, strategies and tactics that will address that very new situation na hindi na actually new pero hanggang ngayon we're still grappling with how we can revive the labor movement under these conditions of contractualization, globalization and yung matinding atake sa labor front.
Well, again, to be fair, also speaking of balance of power and material realities and condition, we had, for instance, si Dr. Lero here, who's a Brazil expert, diba? And she was talking about how the difference between Brazil with the PT Trabador Parte Trabador is that Brazil had a strong manufacturing base. So parang
Yeah.
numerically, ang laki nung yung labor union sila. And Lula, who's the current president for the third time, and last time I checked, he's going to run again in 2 years from now.
Right.
He is a labor union background. So some would say because we're a service-oriented economy and sobrang
Yeah.
nagde-industrial and this is of course the Walden-Bello argument and we're all students of him on that level.
Na de-industrialize tayo eh.
Oh, meron tayong political economy argument. But again, I want to go Gramsci on this and ask you about the question of yung tinatawag niya na yung parang yung folk culture. For instance, why not work more with progressive sections of the church? Why not work with, some of them, I don't know, barangay officials or some sections of the elite na more sympathetic to more, not naman communistic or socialistic ideas, but let's just call it laborite or social democratic ideals. What about that? In terms of winning over at least some more sympathetic or less hostile sections of the establishment. Because, Gramsci's writings was in Italy, which was the heartland of a very conservative, Catholicism plus, Christian Democrats. And next thing you know, Mussolini was in power, right? Which cost his life. But I think his arguments are very reasonable for global South countries. A lot of Indians read Gramsci to talk about mobilization under conditions of Modi, populism, and BJP. So while I agree with you, the political economy of the Philippines is, I won't say singularly, but structurally very disadvantageous to the political left. Feeling ko naman, parang we're not necessarily the worst, and probably we can do something. Like for instance, how can we make the left, the progressive ideals more cool? Like in the US, for instance, they have the revival of, the whole Bernie Sanders, democratic socialism, Jacobin magazine. Don't you think we should do something like that? Obviously, at the back of my head is all the red tagging that Digong did to all of you, right? But nevertheless,
At
diba?
saka, at
What
saka
can be
ang
done?
left sa US, nagse-self-flagellate din ngayon because of the
Oh yeah.
Trump,
Oh yeah.
I mean, of course, may Bernie Sanders ka, pero it, Trump won at the end. So, namumroblema din sila doon.
But they're putting pressure on the Democratic establishment, right? And a couple of young members of the Progressive Caucus, for instance, right? One of them in Arizona, they're all coming out and speaking out na itong pa-cute Obamaism, whatever you want to call it, it's not going to work anymore. You need something more radical, more working class oriented, much more sensitive to class condition, hindi masyadong
Yeah.
pawok. So again, I agree with you that lahat naman nahihirapan yung left all around the world, diba? But do you
Dito
think
nga, ang problema natin, McCarthyism pa rin eh. It's so 1950s eh. Ang problema nito,
right.
yung,
Marami tayong mga
yung
Roy-Con.
takot.
Marami tayong mga
Ano?
Roy-Cons in the Philippines. Yeah, yung mga lawyers are more than willing to red tag everyone else. Including mga lawyers na dati, akala natin progressive. Walang relate. This is completely unrelated to our discussion. Any news about Harry Roque? What is your read of the curious case of Harry Roque? Someone who used to be a human rights lawyer, nakikisali sa mga tibak-tibak stuff. Do you think his arc says something also about the difficulties of progressive movement in the Philippines? Right? Because he's like classic middle class, matalino, nag-aral. Next thing you know, talon na ako, ito na yung opportunity, di ba? Next thing you know, may Pogo pa daw, di ba? Next thing you know, maka Dubai na yan. Um, when in
Well,
fact,
I'm not
what goes more
sure
side?
how
Yeah.
left Harry really was.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
He was
Did he
human rights
opportunistically
and
right? Did he opportunistically right
oh,
the left, right? That's the point, though.
yun na nga eh, yun na nga eh. And hindi naman nawawala yung sympathizers eh, na sinasabi mo. But isang kapansin-pasin ngayon, yung mga sympathizers, they want to keep a low key. Medyo, I think may impact talaga yung red tagging nung time ni Duterte eh. Ah,
Hanggang ngayon sa
and
tingin.
then yung anti-terrorism legislation na, you know, you have some people na kinasuhan ng financing terrorism just for giving money to political detainees. May ano yan eh, may konting, hindi lang konti, meron talagang takot. Ah, so that's also one problem. Yung chilling effect na impact nung ginawa ni Duterte, the EJ case and the red tagging is still very much felt.
So that adds a new structural constraint, di ba? So kasama na yung political economy na pinag-usapan natin in terms of balance of power between, essentially proto-fascist.
Yeah.
And then what you're
I
saying,
mean, imagine pati si Lenny Robredo ni red tag. I mean, and she had to explain. So kung umabot na sa ganon,
Soberano, di
talagang
ba? Yung mga artista rin, di ba? Si
ang
Anila
mga
Soriano, like,
artist,
oh my goodness.
everyone.
So,
And in many communities now, yung
Jollibee rin, di ba?
mga,
Sa Matrix si
di ba
Jollibee.
yung mga college students natin usually pumupunta sa communities yan for their exposure, for their studies. Ano yun? Yung mga yan, nare-rentag yan pag pumunta sa community na makita ng mga sundalo doon, oh, taga-UP ka, taga-university ka, ano ginagawa mo dito? So, ano yan eh, may malalim na impact yung ganong red scare sa mga communities.
Stigmatization, no? Systematic
Yeah.
stigmatization.
Yeah.
In that sense, Teddy, again, I'm not, I come from Ilocos, so, you don't have to tell me about the Marcoses and but my point is, hindi ba in that sense, the Dutertes are the biggest red taggers in Philippine history? Hindi ba, I mean, just look at how constantly NPA, infiltration, DepEd. I teach in UP, right? I was not happy when na-revoke yung, essentially yung autonomy namin, di ba? Even as I, had relatively good relationship with the military and Secretary Lorenzana and other things. So, I mean, from your point of view, hindi
Mm.
ba greater evil ang Dutertes in that case? I know you shouldn't choose a side, but between
Choppy
team,
ka.
sorry, I know we had this argument about not choosing a side, but isn't it arguable that Dutertes
Um,
indeed are the ultimate threat here?
you're getting choppy.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah, again, going back to this
Oh,
study,
yeah, yeah, that's better.
can't you say na in this sense, I don't want to say lesser evil, but the lesser evil argument is a very demonized argument. But aren't the Dutertes the greater
Nawawala.
evil? Ngayon, narinig mo ako, Teddy. Parang ayaw mo yata sagutin
Ayan,
yung
yan.
tanong ko. Parang
No,
ayaw mo
no, no, no.
sagutin na.
Nawawala, nawawala eh. Again, again, again.
Parang ayaw mo yata sagutin yung tanong ko. No, no, no.
Hindi, hindi.
Question
Hindi ko
is
nakuha.
okay. No, I'm
Nawala
just kidding.
talaga.
No, my point is, if you look at the red tagging, if you look at the EJ case, if you look at all of this weaponization of the discourse of anti-oligarchy, I mean, Duterte's tick all the boxes in ways that most of the Trapos don't, right? Like, they're levels, right? They're levels. So that's why I'm saying yes. You don't have to side. You don't have to choose a side between Team Kadiliman and Kasamaan. But I think we know which one is more problematic, isn't it? Or do you think that that will be a problematic discourse in itself? Can't you like put a hierarchy na etong pinakamalaking threat sa progressive movement, etong dynasty na to versus this dynasty, without whitewashing trapoism? Again, am I approaching this too tactically or too graded ba? Parang 50 shades yung approach ko. What is your take on that, Teddy?
Ang difference kasi si Duterte was openly, you know, calling for killings. Pasistang-pasista talaga. Marcos is not like that. But as far as the policies are concerned, as far as what is happening on the ground is concerned, walang malaking significant na pagkakaiba eh.
But the EJK
I
numbers
mean,
are down, right? I mean, there's still EJK numbers. We had the Human Rights Watch Kaloy on our show.
yes,
We know that
yes.
there are still EJKs, unfortunately, but it's not at the same level, right?
No, no, not probably not at the same level. But ang EG case naman
Matagal na yan.
eh,
Palparan pa lang. Yeah, I
at
mean,
saka one death is too many, you know. Uh, pero yung militarization sa communities, yung red tagging, filing of false charges, the use of the anti-terrorism law against civil society organizations, that continues. Hindi lang ang presidente ang bumabandera, but the NTF-ELCAC is down to the grassroots level doing its thing and tuloy-tuloy ang red tagging diyan. Uh, so as far as we are concerned, maaring sa optics magkaiba but the attacks on the ground are basically the same. And then of course, sa ekonomiya eh baka mas malala pa itong panahon ni Marcos. Ah, sa dating ng corruption halos wala namang pinagkaiba rin.
although
So
to be
medyo
mm,
cosmetic ang
mm, mm,
cosmetic.
mm,
Of course, the China issue would probably be one of the
different
malinaw na
differences.
medyo may pagkakaiba.
Yeah.
But all the rest, I don't see anything significantly new or different with how Marcos is running things compared to Duterte. Mas madumi lang ang bibig ang bunganga ni Duterte.
Well, I mean, it is scary when the president of the republic openly threatens people. I never underestimate that, and the level of brazenness,
Yeah,
death threat you
right.
every day. I mean, we know this, Steady. I mean, I'm not whitewashing what's happening, but now I can at least breathe once in a while, right? Take a walk in ways that I couldn't before. That I had traumas. Whenever a motorbike passes, I had jitters. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to be dramatic over this. Of course, alam ko yung mga kababayan natin na kaibigan, even worse because nare-rape threat sila, kung ano-ano. So, I was never in this business of saying sinong pinakawawa sa atin. I'm just saying, at least I can breathe a little bit in ways we couldn't before. But definitely we're not here in the business of, like being over sold any cosmetic changes if that were the case.
Hindi, ang
Yeah.
sa akin lang naman,
Mm.
of course, we are really pushing to hold Duterte, the father and the daughter, accountable for all their crimes. That doesn't mean that we will let Marcos off the hook for his own wrongdoings. And I think it is not necessary for us to declare na, kakampi kami kay Marcos kasi galit kami kay Duterte. That is not I think that is not the proper way to address this issue of whether we should choose sides. Um, so both should be held accountable, but of course, Marcos, of course, Duterte will be accountable for his extrajudicial killings and itong lumalabas sa Quadcom. Sara will be accountable for her confidential funds, etc. Marcos surely should be accountable for what is happening to the economy, for what they did to the budget. Um, so, kailangan singilin yan eh. I mean, you don't have to say, o wag na natin singilin masyado si Marcos kasi ang pangunahing kalaban natin ngayon ay si Duterte. Again, we should remember
But there could be
they
a
are the
way.
same unit team. Nag-away lang sila.
Well, they used to be called uni-brats, right? No, but there's a way to work around this, right? Pwede mo sabihin, Teddy, na kasi I think the debate here is not whether you should criticize both sides. The debate is how to be neutral in the right way, right? So for instance, ang suggestion ko
Mhm.
is ganito. Criticize mo yung GAA and then sabihin mo, pero wag natin kalimutan yung mga ginawa ng mga kaibigan natin na DDS. Something like that. So you
Yeah.
don't give them a chance to come in. I think Chelo, for instance, has been doing that more recently. Kaya attack sila na attack kay Chelo. And to be honest, how
Mm.
I felt, sana ginawa niya na mas maaga na when you go
Yeah.
into the corruption issue, always remind, you have no moral ascendancy to be, essentially to take up the cudgels against corruption. Wala kang moral ascendancy. So I think that caveat
Right.
is important. So ako, yun lang suggestion
True.
ko. It's not about neutrality or not. It's about how to be neutral in the right way. And the neutrality
Yeah.
that I don't like, of course, Teddy, is yung popcorn ka lang. Because nakasalalay dito yung kinabukasan ng bansa natin. In fact, not only kinabukasan ng bansa natin, what if tomorrow Sara is the president, right? I mean, that's always a possibility, God forbid, right? Even
Mm.
if we
Mm.
disagree with BBM on certain issues, like, my point is like, you don't want something crazy to happen. Which brings us to the final part of our discussion. So some would say we are at the
Ang
crossroads.
importante, you disagree. You, ang importante, you disagree with what is wrong. And you say so.
And you're clear with your
And
conviction.
you're clear with, yeah, what you disagree on, where you're coming from, and not, be yung neutral ako kasi I want votes from all sides.
Yun nga, sabi ko, better to lose, but with have your dignity intact and build on that for the next election than being pakyut and all and then lose pa rin and then have nothing to build on for the next cycle, right? Kasi mahabang laban ito, di ba? Although of course everyone wants to win, as Lord Toronaga said, when you win, everything is possible. So now let's talk about your Senate race. What are the things that you have learned from the past, and what do you think should be done? Kasi ang concern kasi dito is again, me being me. Baka hindi ba potentially baka mag-cannibalize kayo mga progressive candidates in a sense that kasi ang sobrang higpit yung labanan eh. Daming mga trapo eh. Daming well-funded, well-oiled. So some would say realistically one or two or three baka yung spot na talagang pwede na for alternative candidates. Baka mamaya kayo na lang magkakainan. Hindi ako nagsabi yan. Si Ronald Llamas nagsabi. Ako yung nagsabi cannibal. Right? Cannibal. Let's just call it the Hannibal effect. How do we avoid that? Na hindi mag-aaway-away yung mga tawagin natin Team Liwanag for the lack of a better term. And when I say Team Liwanag, it's not about being yellow, pink, red, whatever. It's just about klaro tayo na ayaw natin ng feudalismo, oligarkiya, at saka maging tuta ng superpowers, right? I think we can agree on those basics, right? So how can people with those baseline agreements make sure na hindi sila mag-away-away, mag-cannibalize, and at the same time, help build or rebuild a kind of again, for the lack of a new pink progressive movement. And maybe this pink I have in mind is more like Latin American pink wave than just the liberal yellow pink wave. Like, di ba yung pink wave in Latin America from Brazil to Chile, ganon. What do you think about that, Teddy?
Well, first of all, people should sit down and talk about it. But when some don't want to sit down and talk, edi walang mangyayari. So I think that's the basic. Just sitting down and talking about it would be a first step. Eh yun nga, hindi pa magawa eh.
Bakit? Bakit kaya, Teddy? Again, you don't have to drop the
And
of
you
course.
probably know about that. Some don't want to sit down and
A lot
talk.
of people don't want to sit down with me. Marami mga iba dyan na ayaw makipag-collaborate sa akin. Para ako naman, as if naman, di ba? No, no, I understand.
Kala
But
ko nga, ikaw yung makakapag-bring in ng mga tao kasi kausap mo lahat eh.
hindi, hindi. Oo, pero pero ibang vloggers hate ako, di ba? Pina-blind item pa nga tayo, di ba? Kanina paggising ko, nag-text yung kaibigan natin from San Francisco. Ay, hindi na blind item ka kagabi. So tinext ko, No, so I understand. Unfortunately, meron tayong ganyang kultura. Um, I'll tell you something, Teddy. I had a meeting with some of the, let's just call it a pink high-level official from campaign. And we
Mhm.
had a long conversation about yung suggestion ko ng let's go more Latin America left, right?
Ah,
Think. And then
mm.
sabi na Richard, alam mo ang problema, meron tayong isang malaking problema sa ating kultura. Unlike Latin Americans, wala tayong yung Carino Brutal style kung saan pwede tayong mag-disagree. Like tayo, di ba? And naggrabe yung disagreement natin ng EDCA, kunyari, di ba? Pero
Mhm.
tomorrow we can just come and hug an amigo and like sabi niya kaya daw ng mga Latino yan or ibang kultura. Pero sa Pinoy daw pag nag-disagree ka sa isang donor, isang tita of Manila, yung ganun, wala na, hindi ka nakakausapin yon. Do you think there's some sort of immaturity or overemphasis on the face? I know this is an Asian value thing, whatever, but
Mm.
how can we grow, di ba, if we're not willing to take criticism kung napaka-snowflake natin, di ba? Um, yun lang inisip ko. Kaya ako, I'm willing to talk to people na ina-attack ako, even some of the trolls ina-attack. Okay lang, debate tayo, discussion tayo. I mean, alam ko, binabayaran ka lang to do that. I won't take it personally, di ba? Um, what about us na hindi naman tayo talagang hostile in a systematic or professional way? Terry, do you think we have a cultural problem? I hate to use that word, pero may cultural problem ba tayo in terms of the willingness to talk, even though you know you have disagreements, but you know you have to somehow find a common ground because otherwise kakainin tayo ng buhay ng mga kabila. I'm just being brutally honest, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's cultural kasi in the past nangyari na naman yan eh. In the past nag-usap naman, and Ninoy Aquino was part of a slate na nandun si Alex Bongcayaw. So during